All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am, of course, your host, Michelle Berman Michael, and I really am excited about this episode because I have actually known this incredible woman that I'm about to get to chat with for over 4 years, but we have never met on Zoom until right now. So that just goes to show you the power of getting to know someone digitally before you turn it into a real relationship. And Christine, I'm so excited to have you. For those of you guys who don't know Christine, she is the CEO of 2020 Vision Your Success Coaching. I feel like we've all heard of this in the mortgage industry. I know I definitely have. So if you're listening to this, you've probably heard of her organization. But she is also a best-selling author, award-winning mortgage industry exec, sales leader, and a really cool stat about her is that she's actually written a book every other year for 7 years straight and is about to publish her sixth one. Like, holy hell, she's busy, right? So, Christine, welcome to the podcast.
Yay! Thank you for having me. Very happy to be here. And yes, we haven't been on Zoom together, but you're right. I do feel like I know you. I do feel like we've been interacting. That is the power of digital social media. And I for sure have a lot of positive things that happen because of social media. You're one of them. So thanks for choosing me today as your guest.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I think my audience needs to hear from you. And that was why I could not wait to be able to do this. I think that there's just a really big lack of loyalty in the mortgage and real estate space as a whole. That's kind of like the word that I feel really is on my heart lately. And so I'm couldn't think of a more timely time to have this conversation. Um,
Sure.
but before we jump into that, will you tell my audience who maybe doesn't know who you are? Who are you? How did
Yeah.
you get into the mortgage industry? How did you create 2020 Vision Your Success Coaching? And just give us a little background.
Sure. When I went to college for sports medicine, I grew up in New Hampshire, go to Massachusetts to Framingham State College, sports medicine, nutrition. I am working at a credit union as an understudy for a female loan originator. And by the time I get done with school, I've caught the loan origination bug and I jump in and become a loan officer after I finish my sports internship. The whole first decade as an originator, I was a physical trainer. I was an aerobics instructor. I did about 14 to 16 hours a week of taught physical training. And I did consulting for diet. And today I still teach health and wellness, a little aspect about me. I'm 54 today and I'm still lifting weights. I do about 10 hours a week in the gym. I run and I'm an athlete and I've spent my entire life being an athlete. However, the sport of sales and mortgage originations became my love, and I became a quick competitor. I joined the ranks of a small team of 20. I worked hard to get to the top of that little group. And when I did, I wanted something bigger for myself. I went to a bigger company. I joined a 200-person loan officer company in New England, and made my way to the top five. And then I was promoted to area manager in central Massachusetts. I started my first team, first recruiting. I'm about 26, 27 at this point. I stay doing that, get bought by H&R Block Mortgage. That company would grow to 210 branches. I was a branch manager there till about the point of 42 branches. And then I became a district manager, where I would take on 125 loan originators. I would be one of 14 district managers. And then later and that was the last place team. I'm going to tell you the last place district when I took it on. In 16 months, I made it the number one district in the company and then held it there for 3 years. That made a door open for me as a regional vice president. And eventually I become the senior vice president of H&R Block Mortgage. And so I was there 12 years. I oversaw 1,250 originators and the 210 branch managers. In the end, I would close the company to spare shareholder price on Wall Street in the mortgage implosion, and we would close in the black. We were one of the few ahead of the curve success stories. And I had a new baby. I took a summer off. I wrote my first book, Wise Eyes, See Your Way to Success, grabbed 50 LOs from the local market in Burlington, Massachusetts, and took shelter in a small brokerage in Boston called Lentegra. Within 60 days, I got another call from Wall Street from a young entrepreneur that wanted to grow a national firm, had been following me, and he flew to Boston and over a couple steak dinners, he bought he asked me to broker the sale with the owner of Lintegra to acquire Lintegra so he could acquire me under contract. I was in a 2-year contract, and the only way I could break the contract was for him to buy the whole company.
Oh my
And
God.
so he did that. Pretty cool, right? And I then would be in a place to be the national vice president of sales for Village Capital and Investments, which would later become Village Home Mortgage, which later would become Annie Mac Home Mortgage. I would spend 12 years with them. I would help them build 75 branches to about 600 originators. Amazing ride. And somewhere during that 12 years, I started thinking about the long end of my career, because I am now 37 years in, and talking about my history makes you just see your life in seconds. And so I knew I wanted to build 2020 Vision. I actually picked the domain in '06 and held it for 10 years. I love the idea of this name, and it would come to life in 18. And 17, I would give my 1-year resignation. I was held to all 365 days of the resignation. And then I would open the doors, and I thought, I'm gonna build an educational platform for all walks of life in the mortgage industry and real estate industry. I had 10 years to build a real estate education platform prior to that. And the rest is kind of history. I opened my doors and we caught fire. Today, we are the largest consulting and coaching firm in America for the mortgage industry, with hundreds, thousands of professionals and hundreds of organizations that are getting training, consulting from my 65-person team. And that's where I'll stop. That's where you find me right now.
I'm just so I just it's like girl power is all I gotta say. When you really think about it, like, and I think what's so interesting. I mean, I'll be 34 tomorrow, so we're recording this.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And it'll come out shortly after my birthday. But what I'm excited about is, you said I'm 37 years in, right? And I'm going to be 34 tomorrow. And I
Yeah.
think that's, if you think about that, Matt, you're like, holy crap, this woman that I get to spend time with has really walked the walk and done it,
Yeah.
And I think part of why I feel so connected to you and have felt so connected to you for quite some time is, I've been a competitive athlete my entire life. I started swimming at the age of 4. I swam all the way through college. I went to Rutgers, ended up being a very elite level CrossFitter for close to 7 years. Met my husband in the Olympic weightlifting gym, and now train for half marathons and still compete in CrossFit. I'm actually competing on Saturday. And the thing about that is, I really believe that it correlates to how we run our companies. Because I think it's just a totally different brain wavelength that we operate on. And I think that it turns into just really impressive organizations, and you certainly are running one. And my first question to you, Christine, because obviously there's a lot to unpack there, but the thing that really jumps out at me right now in today's day and age, especially, is where has social media, specifically Instagram, come from where you were back in 2018 when you decided, hey, I'm going to open the door of 2020, and even go backwards, like go before that, right? And while you're still knee deep in the mortgage space, what did social media look like? What was the conversation? Like, was it even talked about? And then when did you see it change?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a really awesome social media story, because I had no social media until 2016. As an executive, I had whole marketing divisions, and our marketing divisions were putting ads out, and they were going out in many venues, not necessarily social media. I somehow skipped the whole MySpace era. I didn't ever have that. And as I got closer to that end zone of my career in management, I knew in order to launch a national consulting firm, I needed to have a brand and a presence. I did start my own research. I'm extremely resourceful. If I can figure things out for myself, I will. I'm one of those people that love DIY projects. And so I started to, this is being as detailed as I can, but I started to search on all the major social networks, what was the best way to start within each platform. So for LinkedIn, I was looking for beginners on LinkedIn. For Instagram, the same, and Facebook and Twitter, and eventually TikTok, right? And other places. But as I watched these videos, I stumbled across Gary Vaynerchuk, and I don't know if your audience will know who that is, but
If you don't, you live
Gary,
under a rock.
yeah, exactly. So Gary had put something out in 2016 called the $2 a day theory. And his theory was very exacting and specific. And his story is interesting because his parents had a wine company and it had reached a certain plateau, and he was a gamer, and his parents didn't really think he was going to amount to anything. And then he figured out by getting followers through gaming that if he could take his parents' wine company and translate that somehow. And he ended up doing that and turning his parents' wine company into a multi-billion-dollar company. And as a result, he got the credence as a social networker. And then he started to teach those techniques because that was his expertise. I catch his videos and I start doing the things he says, which is getting active, quote unquote, like how many posts a week, strong call to action, not producing a product that sells something, but rather attracts the audience you're looking for. And then underneath the audience that you're looking for, finding the people that would want to buy your product. And so I did a video in 2017 and I said, okay, Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm taking your challenge on LinkedIn. I'm 50 years old. I'm going to do a $2 a day free marketing, and let's see what happens. And I'm going to report back to the audience as we go. And so he had said I'd get 10,000 followers. Well, I ended up getting 100,000 followers. And so I not only proved his theory to be right, but he would call me on December 5th of 2018. And I know exactly where I was standing when the New York City phone call came in, because everybody's going to remember when Gary Vaynerchuk called you.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
he said, would you come and speak at the Miami Garden Stadium at my event and talk about social media influence? And I thought, if you'd ever asked me as a person that never had social media, somebody that just got in the game, that's been in it under 18 months and has, gone in and taken it by fire. The bigger thing that I had done is I had begun to see monetary conversion, which is one of his really big things. I have stood on huge stages now and told the story. And today, my company in 5 years has generated more than $10 million worth of consulting bought through messenger apps on all 7 social medias without paying a single dime beyond the free social media. So I want you to understand, I have never published a produced Facebook post for $1, not once. I have never bought commercial space or done anything that's false or any boosters or anything. We have done this on complete organic social media. Today, I have 7 people in my social media department. They are doing graphic design, copyright. I didn't think anyone could, get my voice right, but they followed me for a couple of years. And so I'm willing to tell you, I put the stamp of approval on what goes out, but it is manufactured by my team. Interestingly, we use no robotic posters. Everything is done by human posting. And so every single thing you see that goes out by 2020, there is a human posting it so that we get the most traction, because they can tell, the systems can tell the difference.
1,000%.
And they flatten the curve of stuff. So I'll stop there and let you now jump in and ask me whatever else you want to ask me. I don't have a huge Instagram because I focus mainly on Facebook to start. Today, my Facebook's been capped out for a while, but I do have 2 groups that are, tens of thousands of people in those groups. I have 5 pages. I have 1 personal on Facebook. I capped out on LinkedIn, which is 30,000 followers years ago. So now I can only get followers. And, still just, figuring out funnels and growing the audience. But when I tell you this is the source of how we grow our business, that is our television station. It works.
Yeah.
It's the God honest truth.
I'm with you on the ads. Like I've been in business almost 10 years now. November will be 10. And I remember doing ads for about a year or so. And the nice thing about the ads at the time was that it definitely like put email subscribers into the database, which is ultimately what I then dripped on. But I didn't ever use them as a lead generation source in the sense of, hey, this person's now buying something directly through an ad, because I knew it wouldn't work, right? Like they're not the right people. Not that it wouldn't work, that's the wrong phrase, but I knew it wasn't the right way to go about getting someone into the audience. In my opinion, it's all about indoctrinating them and really helping them understand that, hey, I want you to come. I want you to listen to how I sound. I want you to listen to my voice and really feel like you know who I am and you want to buy because you're like, dude, that's my person. as opposed to, hey, here's this ad for $1, buy this. Like, it didn't feel authentic to me. And so I love the way you said that, and the fact that it's 100% organic. I mean, I was just at a social media conference in March, and you'll die, Christine, because I called this, and I'm not going to name names, but I called the gentleman out on stage that his entire following was fake, right? And he knew it, right? And he had paid and purchased most of the followers, if not all. He was paying for power likes, which, if you don't know what that is, that, and I know you know what that is, Christine, but
Yeah,
somebody listening to this might not. Paying for engagement, so that once your post actually goes live, it basically pushes likes to it, to make it look like it's doing really well. And honestly, I can sniff this out from a mile away, right? Because
sure.
it's so blatantly obvious. Most people who haven't been in your or my shoes are not going to look at that and understand that that's what that is. But the reality is it's pretty sad that that's still happening by a lot of really big industry leaders right now today. And it's definitely frustrating for sure. But I want you to, if you're willing, I want you to go back to, I'm in the mortgage industry. I'm knee deep in originating and trying to figure, not necessarily you originating, but helping grow these organizations. Did social media ever come up? Like, did the conversation around, hey, we need to have a presence here aside from running marketing, quote unquote, did that ever come up until you were already out?
Yeah, it was coming up as I was leaving. And so legitimately I was starting to teach myself, social media, because my marketing department couldn't teach it. It was an evolution. And I want to say this to you too. When I get SEO promotions, just to back up 1 second on what you just said about power likes and buying likes. So we don't do that. And we get a lot of people reaching out and saying, hey, we see you're on social and you're not doing so well. I'm really sorry. And what's funny about this is that when you look at our posts, video and graphic design, we have a very strong call to action. So Gary Vaynerchuk had said, you're always looking for the person following your social media to take one piece of action. And that action should be the phone call, the email, the text, the message. And if you focus on that, you are going to get the money. If you focus on engagement and likes and shares and comments, which make your ego feel good and does show a report card to the world that you're liked, you're getting engagement. But why are we trying to get engagement? We're trying to get engagement because we believe if people are following, it stays up longer, it's seen longer, and it ultimately will mean that someone will buy what we're selling. And so we lose sight of the fact that engagement is not the end game. Engagement is the hallway to the dance. It's not the dance. And so I can tell you that my club is filled wall to wall. And so if you look at my posts, you might find a post that has 3 likes. We started to measure beyond the engagement. And so when people are coming in now, and this has been the case for 5 years, we say, how did you hear about us? Of course. And they say, well, I saw that Red Fox post. It was really clever and it made me message you. And we say, great, can we ask you a question? Did you like, share, or comment on that post? 9.5%. So 95% of the time, they are not doing that. They're not liking, sharing, or commenting. They're taking the one action towards you for contact. They read it. It says, call me today. And that's what they're doing, or message me right now, or whatever. And they're doing that action. And so I don't think it's irrespective of each other, but I'm going to argue that because we know we've sold $10 million and we know that 80% of that has come from social media activity, when we look at those same people that took that action, it's literally like 75% of them did not leave an engagement footprint or fingerprint on the social post. So when SEO people come to me, and I've had people in person come to me and say, Christine, I really want to help you. Things, I feel bad. You must be embarrassed. Things look bad. You get, you put posts up. Sometimes you have no likes. And I'm like, yeah, but would you like to see the behind the scenes numbers? Because that post that got no likes today had 15 phone calls. And that post over there that got 1 like, that had 27 phone calls today. And so I really am here to have people stop spending money for their egos, Stop spending money for the lights to be turned on in your hallway to make people think from the outside looking in that you got this hell of a dance going on. I'm about the dance. I'm inside the club and people are there with me. And so I'm not worried about what it looks like on the outside necessarily. I mean, I am putting my lights on, I'm putting up posts. And so I'm really strong in this area. I've written about it in the book that I'm putting out this fall to a degree, and I'm very loud about it on stages because I just really think our society has this part wrong in terms of how social media operates.
Oh my gosh. I feel like we could just end this episode right now. Let's go have a glass of wine. Like we're done, we're out. But no, I just feel like thank you because I will take my audience back on this one, and nobody really knows this. Probably I don't talk about it often, but back in 2012 when I graduated from college, I had one phone call with my dad that I can remember very, very vividly forever. And I said to him, I said, Dad, I have a voice. I know it. I just don't know what it is yet. Like, I know I'm going to write a book because I know I have a voice. I just am not sure what that voice is. It's not clear yet, but I promise you I will. And fast forward to today, we're sitting in the middle, halfway through 2024. The foreword is written. The person who wrote the foreword is a very, very dear friend of both of us, I'm sure. And the thing about this is, it's not about anything that other people think. It's about how much money is in my bank account. Like literally, that's what matters. And I feel the same exact way. Like I'll look at my Instagram and be like, wow, I got 40 likes on a reel. This same person got 400. And to the outside world, that person is killing it. That person's beating me. Right. And I think that we live in this constant comparison game, especially on this, like on the vanity side of things, right? Oh, this person has 100,000 followers. Well, I don't care. Because if I have 100,000 followers and none of them are talking to me, then it doesn't make me any money. Right. So it's
100%.
The conversation is wrong, right? And the perception of, hey, I have this really aesthetically pleasing, perfect platform, which I do believe that to some extent matters, right? We do have to have branding. We do have to have a vision, like no pun intended, right? But we do have to have a vision what we're doing. And we have to have a very clear, like that's Michelle or that's Christine. But it's not about, oh, I only got 4 likes instead of 400.
100%.
How many of us right now here have ever put a piece of content out that's literally gotten 0 engagement whatsoever, but to your point, gotten us 27 phone calls? And then on the flip side, how many people listening to this have ever had a reel go viral and gotten jack you know what from it?
And I mean, I'm here to tell you too, like you've got to remember that social media is kind of, every time you post, it is like having a party and they're immediately letting you open your doors and windows and blare the horns, the party's on, let's go, blare your music. And the minute things are not getting engagement, the windows are starting to close, the doors are starting to close on that post. And there are a number of like organic things that you can do to keep the doors, lights, and windows open. You can go and comment on your own post. These are taboo things by most social media marketers. I mean, obviously you're not going to go great post for yourself, but you could expand on the thought of the content copy that you're doing with another thought. You could add a link to something else in the comments. You could just ask a question in case people are reading it and they go to the comments and now they start to answer you there. You also want to be looking at how your post is performing, because that will obviously help. But you need to remember something. When we watch the Super Bowl, we watch it right for the commercials and we can't wait. And on a regular show that we're watching, our favorite show, let's say it's, a viral show like a Yellowstone or something like that. And I don't even know what's viral right now, but Vanderpump Rules, you're watching it. And now there's a McRib commercial or a Big Mac commercial. And we're not jumping up from our chairs and leaving the show and then getting in our cars and going to drive and buy a Big Mac. However, the subliminal message that goes into our head becomes the timing in the future of now a desired thought or idea. And so our goal in social media is to project. It's to make people think, when I reach this point where I know I don't have all the answers, oh yeah, I remember that company, 2020 Vision, knows how to build mortgage companies from the top down, bottom up, whichever way you look at it. And they say they're affordable and they say there's no obligation. They seem pretty cool. And I laugh at half their stuff. I'm calling them first. And so it isn't about immediate gratification. And this is why most people don't get social media off the ground. They have a plane on a tarmac and they cannot stick with the flight. They will not let that thing ride that tarmac long enough to get the nose off the ground. They'll put the flyer up that doesn't get any likes, and then they'll say it doesn't work. They'll post infrequently. They're not consistent with their message. They don't have a good call to action. Their ego is bruised because of the lack of engagement. These are all things that keep people from kind of taking flight. And so, I've been at it. We're still at it. I'm an older person to be socially networked the way that I am. My 18-year-old son hates that I'm on TikTok and all these other platforms and doing crazy stuff on all these places. But I'm telling you, my company was made on social media and is thriving there because of it.
Yeah, this is so important right now. I just feel like everything you're saying, I just feel like I've been on webinar after webinar after webinar, and you feel like you're preaching to the choir and people still keep asking the same question, right? They're still
Yes.
asking, I mean, sales call this morning, right? I really want to grow my following. I feel like followers are really important. And I literally said to the woman, I said, that is the worst question you could ask, straight up. And and I meant it in the best way possible, but I really, really feel like we're asking the wrong questions, right?
Yeah, we are.
And why are people still asking those? Because in my opinion, and I'm curious of your thought, the people that are claiming to be these social media influencers, right? They're not actually doing it the way that is designed to be done in most cases, right? They're focused on the wrong things. In my opinion, anyone preaching virality, anyone telling you how to get more engagement, more likes, more this, more that, is teaching you the wrong thing, and you should turn around and run. Like literally.
Yeah, and I think if you think the starting point is on social, it's very hard to build on social. People need to understand I had a 32-year career coming into social media. I was known in the industry. I had a name. So certainly the professionals that knew of me connected with me the minute that I went on. There's been a lot of legwork in my life to get where I am, and there still is. This is a combination of me putting out books that are bestsellers, going on endless podcasts, going on stages. Every year I'm on 15 to 25 stages. In every one of those rooms, there's 500 to 5,000 people. I don't leave that stage unless I say, everybody pull out your phone. The greatest compliment you're going to give me today is connecting with me on social media. Here's all of my, and the screen goes up showing all of my social media, and they can pick one or all. I say, take a picture of it, get connected. We give away a lot of free stuff. We give a lot of free information. When you're in our circle, you're in our circle. It changes your life. It levels you up. There's so much value in just connecting with us. I can't even begin to tell you. You're going to hear from your peers. You're going to hear from industry greats. And so, I've been called an influencer as well, which is so funny at my age. And I don't know that I feel like I've been influencing since it wasn't a word for decades prior. And we just called that networking back in the day. We just called that great service back in the day. Today, if you have power, it's called influence. And so we'll go with that word. I will tell you, I get 5 to 20 calls a month that people want to demo me their products, whether that's tech product or they've got some new bright idea or they're selling something. And I want to tell you, I take all of the calls. I send them to my secretary. She finds a place. When I say the word, this is a Discovery Network pitch. She knows that that means this person's selling me something. It's not vital that they're in my schedule the next 2 to 3 business days, like a discovery call, for instance. And so she places them properly in. I never miss them. I give every person 30 minutes. I am looking for what that person has in their presentation. I'm examining their presentation. I'm looking at their sales aspect. I'm thinking about whether their product has a place in my world or there are people that need that. Because I have always felt if I could find 1,000 tools, then I could solve 1,000 problems. And so my vast knowledge of where to find things is a power that I have chosen to give myself because I haven't dismissed spam or sales towards me as something that's nagging or even annoying. Instead, every single time I talk to another human being and I see the spirit of entrepreneurship, I'll ask personal questions. And I almost always find out something about that individual that's intriguing, inspiring for me, that fills my cup that day. And by the way, I feel good doing it. I feel like I'm different than other people because I do it. I feel genuinely like I care about people and people know that. And I feel like that's my influence. My influence is that I give a shit about everybody that gives a shit about me. And so if you show up in my world and you write me a message, you're going to get a message back from me. If you write me a note, you're going to get a note back from me. If you say to me, you're suffering and one of my books has a problem that you have that I can solve to, I will stop. I will write myself a note. On the weekend, I have at least 10 to 15 books that I'm writing personal notes in because I passed through the hallway somewhere and had somebody tell me that they're suffering from clinical depression. And I'm like, they could benefit from my book, Finding Honor. And I write a personal note, pay attention to chapter 14. The other day you said this, and that chapter has a lot of answers to that. Hope this helps you out. By the way, email me when you're done reading this and tell me what you thought and if it helped you. And sure enough, I get that email. And you know what? I read that email and I take time to write back to that email. And so when you think about the noise that's been created through all of this and the extra time I spend on this, and then people look and say, well, how did you sell $10 million worth of social media? I'm going to tell you it's because I care, because the people that follow me are listening to me, because they see me. And when I say, hey, will you share this? They do. When I say, hey, call us, you get half off your tickets today, people call. And I just keep stacking the bricks in that direction. And it's a beautiful thing. Everybody on social media is trying to cut corners. They're trying to buy the engagement so they look good to their friends. And I'm telling you, all that's happening is people are spinning their wheels. They're not looking in the right places for the business. They're not connecting to people in the right, meaningful, genuine, authentic way. They don't mean it. It's not believable. Your marketing's not believable. I say it all the time from the stage. You know why I'm not buying from you? I don't believe you. You know why you're not converting? You're not convincing. And so I'm very much snobby in this way because I have been self-made in this way. And I've not believed everything. I could have believed everything starting in 2017. I didn't. I read everything, looked at everything, tried things, and threw out the things I felt like were BS and just kept going with the things that I knew that were working. And so I've debunked the rule set, but I found the way, using that path.
Well, can we go back to one thing you just said? Because I wrote it down and
Sure.
said, if you're not converting, you're not convincing, right? So like
Yeah.
I want to take it one step further and then I want your feedback on this because I think, again, this is literally such a powerful conversation that I could turn this into a 3-hour episode and I guarantee people would listen to the entire episode. But if you're not converting, you're not convincing. I'm going to take that one step further and put another brick on top of that in your words and say, maybe I use that imagery wrong, but I'm going to add to it and just say, if you're not creating engagement, right? So if you're not getting comments on your content, if you're not getting messages, if you're not getting phone calls, in my opinion, you're not connecting, right? In the sense of, I don't know who you are, right? So the mortgage industry, I think, is the worst. Real estate is probably a very close second. But it's this really constant mortgage talking head video. I feel like I open Instagram every single day and it's mortgage talking head, mortgage talking head, mortgage talking head. Every single person is saying the exact same person as the next person. And the reason for that is because they feel like they have to, right? Oh, so-and-so is really successful. And well, they posted a video about it, so I'm going to post a video about it. And then we fall into this pattern of like, well, who are you? Who is Christine? And how is Christine different than this person or whoever, right? And the point is that you're not any different in the overall scheme of things. You're a loan officer and you're a loan officer side by side, right? Or a mortgage professional. Now, do you have differences in how you do day-to-day business? Yes, but your online audience isn't going to be able to tell that from a social post. So in order to be able to get them and get their attention, you have to connect with me. Like I have to feel heard, I have to feel seen, and I have to resonate and say, hey, me too. Right. So if your content's not getting any of the engagement that we're talking about, I think it's because you're not showing me who you really are. Right.
That's right.
I'll be the first to say I love fitness. I love working out. And
Yes.
quite honestly, like if I'm not sharing that on my feed, but I'm talking about
Yeah.
my DMs, like let's say for you and I, Christine, let's say I sent you a message right now on Instagram and I said,
Yeah.
hey, I want to run another half marathon and I saw that you're a big runner. What would you suggest, or like what's the next half marathon that you're running? You're naturally, like, your natural instinct would be to click on my account and be like, who is this? Right. And
Yep.
is there anything, this is a big question, is there anything on my account that is going to speak to the fact that I've run half marathons or that can attest to that? There sure as heck is. But if there wasn't, what happens? There's no connection.
Right. That's right. That's right. I mean, huge, huge, huge valid point. People want to find you for who you are. So here's where I teach niching. I have a course called Niche Nitrous. You take it in the second spot of like 24 courses when you come on board. So within the first 45 days, you're taking this class. And I always use Subway sandwiches and Whole Food grocery stores as my example for niching. And I say, when Subway came out with, doing fresh sandwiches, eat fresh, they pitched the idea, and their story is really unique because tons of investors passed them over. They were like, we don't need another fast food option. That's not going to work. People aren't going to park their car and go into a store to get, homemade bread and a fresh made sandwich when they can drive through McDonald's or drive through Burger King. And it was just different enough for them that they were like, and it was ahead of the health movement. And there was enough people saying, I want to eat healthier than I am, that they thought people will walk, they will choose this, they will build their own sandwich, it will be healthier, they will eat fresh, right? Which is opposing the other fast foods. It will be semi-fast. And of course, they came in and they took 30-something% market share in the first year, and then they never looked back. Whole Foods grocery store had the same problem getting investors because they were like, wait, there's going to be groceries that are 40% marked up from regular groceries, and they're going to spoil in 3 to 5 days because everything's going to be organic in the store, and you're going to have to turn that over that fast. And you're going to put this amongst these neighborhood grocery stores and think you're going to outsell them when you're at a higher price. And the person said, yes, because the healthiest eaters, they can only shop in like 1/10 of the grocery store, which is the produce section or this other section. They don't shop in all of the pre-made sections. And so why not give them a 10-aisle store of everything they want to eat? There's enough people there that will go there. And you know what? They opened on every corner in America and they took 40% market share at a marked up price. And so I say all of this to you because you have a story. You're athletic. I'm athletic. My whole career, I've been athletic. We teach holistic mindset. We do grief counseling. We do physicality, sleep, anxiety, nutrition, all of these things, because we believe that happiness is the precursor to success. We believe that health is the precursor to happiness and success. And so we always are saying, drive to your energy banks, fulfill your mindset, recover faster. Here are the techniques to doing all those things. And I do that. I'm a practicing athlete. I wake up at 5 in the morning. I'm at the gym. I religiously 6 days, sometimes 7 days a week. And I can't even imagine. That's like putting on my shoes, like not doing that, what it does for me mentally. And so people know that, but I'm a motorcyclist. Okay. I'm a biker. I've had a custom Harley for 26 years, stripped to the ground, built back up. I've posted about it. I know there's a stigma with that. People don't want to see a female banker that is necessarily a biker. And I've made no explanation of that, but I put up bike posts. I'm a dog lover. I put up dog posts. I have one child. I put up tons of posts about him. I'm an educator. I put up posts about that.
I
I
think it's
love
badass
gardening.
that
I
you're
put
a
up
biker.
posts about that.
Can we just say that? I think it's badass that you're like, you be you, girl. Like, that's just crazy. But
Yeah, I am. And I just I never that's who I was. I grew up in biker country in Laconia, New Hampshire, so that's why, to an all-girl family, and a dad that put us on motorcycles. And so, you know, not hiding all of these things has allowed the world that is out there that wants to be connected to me for my physicality, for my biker hobby, for all the things that I just said, the dog lovers in the world. And so here's what happened. I'm connected to all those groups. they follow me, they like me, they see my humor. I'm sarcastic. By the way, I'm pretty bold in my speak. And so I can say a lot of edgy stuff, and I've always been that way. And that's not contrived. That's who I am. And so all that's out there. And guess what? That's my audience. And you know what? I have to find the people that want coaching in those groups.
Yep.
I have to find people that are in the mortgage industry within those groups. So here's where they get it wrong and really don't do social media right. They lead with I'm a mortgage loan officer, and they hide all that other realness behind them, and people don't know who they are. And so they can choose from 2,000 mortgage loan officers. That doesn't set you apart. I want to go to the fully, tattooed guy that's like a great dad, and the story that I know about him that has the Duck Dynasty beard, and is an all-girl dad, and like I'm looking for that guy, and so everyone's looking for their person. So you got to decide if your person, who you are, can be shined in a way. It doesn't, everyone thinks if you're not everything to everybody, you're not going to get sales, that it's going to, it's going to narrow your funnel. I'm going to tell you something. It creates a highway of sales. And so if you want to speed your sales funnels up, which is why I call it niche nitrous, do not be everything to everybody. Sure, say you do everything, but be something. Don't be the grocery store, be the produce aisle, be the meat section, be whatever, but make people come to you for what you're great at, what you represent, what you love, what your expertise is, and let that freak flag fly, because that is to me what connects us, and what makes people look at us.
Well, I think the world needs more connection, point blank. I mean, I'm reading a book right now called Connectable, and it literally talks about post-COVID, the lack of connection that our world has in the workspace, like in the actual workplace as a whole, and how it's one of the contributing factors to loneliness, right? Is that we're so focused on high performance, and you and I both definitely fall into this category.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yep.
want to be high performers, we want to fire on all cylinders all the time. But it's even more important for people like us to slow down and not forget that we have to do those things. You have to go on a bike ride with your girlfriends or with your husband or whoever. I have to go. Tomorrow's my birthday, right? So we're taking the whole day off. I have to do that to be able to spend time with my kid.
Yeah.
Get up in the morning and go for a run, and like have a day that fuels my body back so that I can continue to perform in that capacity. And connectedness, in my opinion, is, hey, I like you. You and I have this shared interest together. Now I have to make a cognizant choice to spend more time getting to know you as a human. And I think we're so busy that we're like, oh, well, I'll get to it. And the more and more we push that I'll get to it, the further and further away we get from, hey, I really need someone to just make me not feel lonely in this world.
Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%.
And your content is the best place for that. I really, really feel like it's so important to end on this really, really powerful note and say, be exactly who you are. You said it great. You said, fly your flag, man. Like, put it out and just be like, this is who I am, and I'm super proud of it. I'll say, my business coach calls me a bulldog, and I love that. Like, let that be who people think I am, because that is who I am, right?
Yeah.
So I love everything about your story. I really feel grateful for the time that we've now had, and I'm very excited about furthering our conversations past this and offline. But I think the world needs to hear what you have to say. I think 2020 vision your success is such a important thing that our world needs, not just on the mortgage and real estate side, but really anybody for that matter can benefit so wildly from that. So Christine, would you tell people how we can find you? Where are you on social media? And then I know you have a book coming out soon, but is there anything else that you have coming up that someone could get dialed into?
Sure. So we are going to be traveling the country this year for the for Difference Maker Masterminds. Our next stop is Boston in August. We're going to Scottsdale, Arizona in December, November, backing up. We're going to Philadelphia. We're also going to be at the major conventions at NAM and Fuse in the fall. I'm going to be at a bunch of private places. My book, High Selling is a Drug, is coming out on November 5th. It is going to be a best-in-class sales book. I think it's going to be my next bestseller. Really, really edgy, full of tactics. highlighting a career of, 37 years. I actually am in the midst of doing 12 photo shoots with some of the biggest CEOs in the country that put me at my next promotion over the 37 years. So you're going to see my story in pictures. And I am doing an unjacketed, the cover has me arms crossed, tattoos showing, and all of the pictures I'm doing with all of these CEOs are them in suits and me in my sleeveless tank top. And because I want the world to know, like I walked through that world in a suit for 32 years. And today I'm past that. Today I'm out here, I'm free. My jacket's off, my sleeves are rolled up. I'm doing the legacy work. I'm free now. And it's, I really believe in the ability for people to get to a higher level. And that's what this fall's book's about. You can find us on any social platform by just putting in the words 2020 Vision or Christine Beckwith. It's going to bring you right to us. And in many, many areas. In Facebook, we have a group called 2020 Vision for Loan Officer Success. We have Women with Vision there. Again, just follow us. If you find a capped out social media, hit the follow button instead of the connect button, because Facebook's been kind enough to make us a public figure. And so we're able to be followed. And so is that true for LinkedIn? We can go above the 30,000 that we're at. We would love to have you. We have a lot to give. And we really believe we do know the way through the market that we're in and where we're going. So Michelle, thank you for having me. And you remind me of myself at a younger age. I see your tattoo, by the way, on Thursday. I am riding my Harley for an 8-hour session. And for the first time in my life, I've always wanted to have a full sleeve tattoo. And I'm beginning 8-hour sessions
Oh my
this
gosh.
coming Thursday
Woo!
to do that. I know. So
Get it,
stay
girl.
tuned.
Get somebody to come bring you food because mine was about 6 hours on my arm, and I had a girlfriend bring me sushi about halfway through because I was like having the shake. And it was worth
That's a
it was
great idea.
worth every minute of the 6 hours. And my tattoo artist did not speak a lick of English so the entire time. He just had his headphones on, and I'm sitting there like, cool, this is awesome.
Okay.
But I survived it, right? But I'm a huge
That's
fan
awesome.
of tattoos. I think that they, in my opinion, they're roadmaps to our lives, and all of mine
Right.
are kind of coordinates, if you will, to my Northern Star, which is the life that I feel like I currently live with my 3-year-old and my amazing husband. But Christine, I appreciate you so much, and I think my audience is just desperate for what you're offering. I know it's been amazing getting to connect with you this way, so I know there'll be more. But for those of you guys listening, if you have any suggestions on additional guests, please reach out and let me know. Of course, we want to know, do you love this episode? So let us know, comment, leave us a review. We are everywhere, Spotify, Apple, all of the good places. You can find us on YouTube too. But Christine, until next time, thank you so much for being on the show.